Hello and welcome to Find Your Freedom, a podcast dedicated to helping you truly find freedom in all aspects of life. Join your hosts and their expert guests as they share practical tips and strategies for finding more freedom in your life. It's time to take control of your life and create the future you want. Let's find your freedom. Here are your hosts, Lenny the Boss and Omid Rad Investor.
All right, so today we are here with a special guest, super good friend of mine. I had the opportunity to meet him maybe about a couple months ago, and it felt like, it was a couple months ago? I think so. Okay. And it felt like I have known him for probably years. So I'm going to, if you could, just give a little bit, let everybody know your name and give a little bit of background on yourself.
So my name's Rafa. Everybody here probably knows me, most of you. So I've been in short-term rentals for about 6.5 years. I do what's called short-term rental arbitrage, and now I buy hotels and some single-family investing. I started 6.5 years ago trying to get into real estate, and I couldn't afford to get into real estate. And so I had to find an alternate strategy to do it, and short-term rentals was the strategy. And man, am I glad we found it, because here we are now, 6 years later. The ability to do what we want, when we want, where we want, with whoever we want, right? And so because of short-term rentals, it's the reason why I love to share the knowledge, spread the knowledge, and just let people know about this so that they can do it themselves. All right, so can we pause? If we mess up, can we stop? Because they can't hear us like that. Look out here. Nobody. You just gotta get closer because we can't talk. It's like, yeah, come on, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come listen to the great chair. Yeah. I'll be on this side. Alex, he's the other legendary. Yeah, guys, seriously, screw it. Yeah, part of real estate. It's all part of real estate. Alex, wow, it is the hottest chick at the bar, man. No, I'm Alex. That's part of real estate. One bit of the matter of that. Can you hear me like that? It's gonna be difficult. All right, so we're gonna try to speak loud, but it's loud outside.
Yeah.
Except he talks really loud. But I'll try to talk loud too. All right, sorry, go ahead.
All right,
we're back.
So Rafa, a little backstory of Rafa. So I went to this ride-along event, and there was a seat that was open. It was the only seat that was open. Nobody wanted to sit next to this guy named Rafa. I didn't know who he was. So I sat next to him. I started asking questions. And all of a sudden, I wouldn't stop asking questions. And he just kept feeding me with knowledge and more information. And I was like, who is this guy? And I didn't know who he was at the time. But just based on all the information he was giving, I was like, okay, this guy really knows his stuff.
Luckily, I knew what I was talking to him.
Fast forward, I don't know how long it's been, like a year? 2 years? I don't know how long it's been, but he's been kind of like my unofficial mentor when it comes to scaling operations. So I really think it's a really important thing is kind of listening to kind of what he has to say. And so I guess my question for you is, for somebody getting started, they want to get into the arbitrage space, what advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, I would say, ask yourself, why are you getting into arbitrage? There's two reasons why people get into arbitrage. They're just starting off, or they're trying to find an alternate way to cash flow. Because if you have the ability to purchase something, you should 100% go towards the ability to purchase something first. Because that's what creates the long-term wealth, and that's what creates actual wealth building, generational wealth, and serious cash flow down in the future, right? Arbitrage is a means to an end. So if your means to an end are to generate cash flow to be able to generate more money to put into an investment or to put into something that's going to actually help build future wealth, then I would suggest getting into the realm of arbitrage, because it's very inexpensive to get in. So if let's say, again, a second reason is maybe you don't have the funds to get into purchasing. You can get into arbitrage and start a unit with very little money down and cash flow and get that money back in 8 to 12 months easy.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you right there, Wilfrey. So I've talked to a lot of investors. They bought their first short-term rental. Maybe they have their second short-term rental, they run out of liquidity. So they have experience.
Yeah.
They may not want to partner, but they are interested in building some cash flow so they can build the reserves to buy again in the future.
Yeah.
So I'm in that position right now.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to figure out where do I get started? What market? Of course, market is $1 million question, but based on kind of like where you see the current arbitrage niche, where should I get started?
Stay away from Santa Ana.
That's where everybody laughs.
I started talking about Santa Ana, and now Santa Ana is a thing. Stay away from it. No. All right, so there's multiple things. That's one of the reasons why you would want to get into it, because you're at a point where now you need to put your money somewhere, right? And you want to cash flow more money rather than let that money sit there stagnant and do nothing. That's a great way to do it. You put $12,000 into a sure investment that's going to make you money because you know how to manage it, you know how to deal with it, and so it's going to generate you cash flow going forward. But yes, the $1 million question is what market, and there's thousands of markets in the U.S. I can't tell you, hey, pick this market. Santa Ana and Orange County used to be the market, the hot market to go to, and now it's so saturated. The entire economy is going down. Things are just getting significantly slower. So I would suggest finding a new niche market where there's travel. If there's a major airport, that's a good sign. If you're near a major travel hub, like a big theme park, that's a big sign. A big vacation, a big national park, something along those lines where you know it's going to attract people and it's untapped. And you run your numbers and you do the research, and the numbers look good, and there's not thousands of short-term rentals in that market. Odds are you're gonna do really well.
All right, so let's back this story up. All right, because when you are a newbie, right, you know nothing.
Yeah.
So let's just call this guy Joe. So Joe, he's working at a job, and Joe hates his job, and he want to get into real estate, and he has limited funds, right? You know, what is Joe's start? Where should he start? So Joe saying, hey, I had enough here, and I only want to stay here long enough until I'm able to make some money doing some arbitrage. Where should Joe start?
Well, you first look for, talking in the realm of arbitrage?
Yes.
Okay, so in the realm of arbitrage, you'd want to start with whatever those funds can get you. So if you want to arbitrage a 5-bedroom house and you only have $15,000, odds are it's not going to work out, right? You can't put $15,000 in rent deposit furniture on a 3 to 4-bedroom house. It's just not going to happen. And if you do, you're setting yourself a failure because you're setting up a big property with very little money in terms of design and budget, right? So I would suggest, depending on the amount that you have to get started, you would put it into that size property. A studio, a 1-bedroom, an ADU.
So I want to interrupt. Can you break down? So a studio, this is the budget you should probably have. A 1-bed and go down.
So studio, 8 to 10,000, 12,000 on a really high end. 1-bedroom, 10 to about 13,000. A 2-bedroom, about 12 to 16,000. A 3-bedroom, about 15 to 20,000. And then a 4-bedroom, you're looking at 25 to 30.
Okay, and that's good. So we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars to furnish this place, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about furniture, rent and deposit, not rent and deposit on the rent, right? So not like a down payment on a house, nothing like that. Just simple to make the place operation.
Which is cool. So what are some of the ways people can actually use? Because truth be told is there's a lot of people that don't have $1,000 in the bank. There's a lot of people that don't have $5,000 in the bank. And you're saying, hey, you have to have some down payment money and you have to have some money to actually furnish it. What are some suggestions that you would give a person who wants to start with limited funds?
Yeah. Okay, so when I started, I had $5,000 in cash. And I started looking for locations. I got an approval, and then Ruben over here, he let me borrow a $9,000 credit card. So a credit card works really well. Family member who's got a credit card, cash under the bed, whatever the case may be, you guys can start. Honestly, you guys can do 1-bedroom, borrow the credit card, no problem. A OnlyFans?
No. This is where everybody's going to have down.
Big finder with yeah, okay. I don't know. Does that answer the question? Because like you're asking me like what can they do to do it? Like
yeah.
I mean you can I don't know, sell Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? Like, you got to find a way to get the cash to be able to furnish. Okay, you can go to garage sales and you can buy really cheap furniture to furnish a studio or a one-bedroom apartment. Okay, very simple, right? You're looking at a $6,000 cost. It's going to take time. You got to have the place to store it. Your garage is going to look like a fucking storage center. When you let a cuss on me?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to look like a storage center. And so, you know, when you start to build that furniture, then you find a location, now you have everything to put it inside.
Okay.
So it's really an expensive way to get started. But you still got to have at least $5,000 for the rent and the deposit.
Okay. All right. So a person who's starting should somehow, some way have roughly around $5,000 for a starting point.
To be safe in today's market, I would suggest minimum $8,000.
$8,000.
8 to 10. And that's just being honest. Like, the market right now is really shitty. You got to put serious money into a location to stand out. You can't just put a couch in a bed. Like, you just can't do that shit.
And to be clear, the $8,000 to $10,000 do not need to be liquid cash. It can be credit card. Now, do you need cash versus card? I guess, can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah. You need a percentage of cash to the credit card. It has to be the cash rent and deposit. You can't pay that with the credit card.
Gotcha.
So everything else can go on a credit card. Literally everything else. Even the labor. Because the labor, you just have them send you an invoice to the strap and you pay it on the card.
All right. So I like role playing. How do you like? What do you feel about role playing?
Feels like another role play.
Oh yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
What do you?
Let's role play. I'm somebody who's interested in having a discussion with somebody about their long-term rental, and I want to try to rent it, but also make
The landlord, you mean?
Yeah, the landlord.
Sure.
So, ring, ring. You're calling me right now, and you're offering me arbitrage. So, ring, ring.
Hey, my name's Rafa. I'm with Night and Ray Properties. We run a short-term rental corporate housing company. We're looking to expand in your area. We're looking for some new locations for some business travelers and medical professionals, and we need locations in your area. Would you guys be open to doing corporate housing then?
So, what is corporate housing?
Corporate housing is where my corporation goes and leases an apartment long-term from you. We furnish it, and we provide it as a furnished accommodation to our clients. The people who are coming short-term, the family who's here for vacation, the business travelers who are here for 1 to 2 weeks at a time. That's what we do. We provide those accommodations to these clients in your location.
What if, how do I know they're not going to mess up the house?
So we have several security systems in place for that type of situation. We never know if something will happen. People could mess up the house. They could screw something up inside, but you're not liable for it. That's why my company's signing the lease. We're going to be the ones on there. We have insurance that's going to cover the entire building in case anything ever happens. And if something inside happens, our maintenance people are going to cover everything inside so that you don't have to go in there with their end.
What are the next steps?
Well, you saying yes already?
I don't know. Wait, hold on. What is a common objection? Then how do you overcome it?
Yeah, okay, sure. So this gets terrible at role playing. All right, so the biggest objection is, are you using Airbnb? The second biggest objection is, how do you screen your people? The third biggest objection would be,
are you using Airbnb? So what do you say to that?
Yes. Okay, so it depends on how it comes up. When they ask you, are you using Airbnb, you're not going to lie to them.
Yeah.
You're going to go, yeah, we do use Airbnb. There's situations where we have to actually use Airbnb to get the place furnished. Similar to how, have you ever used Craigslist to fill any of your apartments to find tenants?
Yes.
This is the same concept, except at a much larger scale. Airbnb is very well known in the short-term rental space. Craigslist and Zillow and Rents.com and Apartments.com is very well known in the long-term rental space.
Correct.
So the way you find your tenants is the way I find my guests, by using Airbnb as a marketing platform. We don't run an Airbnb business. We run a short-term rental business where we get clients from a bunch of different locations. Airbnb is one of the locations that we use when we need to fill the place up. The worst thing that could happen is my place goes vacant and then I can't pay you your rent. So my last resort, or one of my actual strategies, is to use Airbnb to build this place up to make sure that I get paid so that you get paid on the rent.
Do you, when will you ever not get paid?
Been doing this for 7 years and I've never not gotten paid.
Boom.
So, and I'll explain why. And I do say that sometimes. I'll explain why. Number one, we've done a lot of research to make sure that we're coming into this market. I'm not just taking your place blind to you. There's a demand for it. My company needs your place. That's why I'm coming to you. I'm not doing it blindly just because I want to start this business. I'm coming here because I've ran numbers. I know that there's a demand in this market, and we need to be able to house these people in your location, and your location is perfect. So the fact that I know that there's demand here, I'm going to put all the risk out of pocket. I'm spending $10,000 to $15,000 on your one-bedroom apartment. I'm going to furnish.
Can I get a cut?
Well, no.
Can I get a percentage?
There could be if you want to be an investor with me. You provide all the furnishing, I manage it, and then we go on a profit share model. But this profit share model will only be based on the revenue that gets made in. So on some months, you might make really high on your rent. But on some months, you might make below your rent. Are you open to that?
I don't know.
Well, think about it.
Suggest?
Well, think about it. Well, nobody will ever ask you what you suggest. Hold on. He's going way off topic. Because a landlord, okay, to be clear, a landlord, when you're going to talk to a landlord to rent their place and you explain this, they're not asking to be business partners, or they're not asking you questions to do it themselves. They've either already heard this from someone else who didn't know what the hell they were doing, or someone who didn't know what they was doing and screwed them over, especially now that it's so popular. So if they ask you, hey, how can I get in on it? Well, we can partner up on it. And you provide the furniture, I manage it for you. It's what's called a co-host model. And now the risk is on both of us, but now you're guaranteeing that your place is being managed by someone who knows what they're doing. You still have full control of it. And now all I'm doing is taking a percentage for managing the guests that are coming short term. But you're covering all the costs to get the starter. That's it.
So what if I have some furniture that I'm buying that...
Oh, well, there's a rule for us to work together. I will tell you how much the cost is going to be, and I will bring a designer, because in order for me to make this place work and for you to make your money to cover your rent, and for both of us to make money, I need to make sure they generate a certain amount of revenue. Therefore, it needs to be my standards for the way I'm going to manage. It's not what you want inside of there. It's what the market and my clients demand inside of it.
That makes
sense.
Yeah. So let's get back to this Joe guy, right? So, all right. So Joe, right? He mustered up $15,000, credit cards and cash. He found a property. Now, Joe, he has a job. He has a family. How much time Joe needs to spend outside of his 9 to 5, spending time with his family to run this short-term rental arbitrage business?
Yeah, very little. So in the beginning, it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks of setting everything up, getting it furnished, set up, because they're going to do all the work themselves for cost savings.
Right.
So they're doing all the furniture building, all of the staging, all of the wall painting, probably after hours of their job. But once it's up and running, you're looking at 2 things: guest communications and managing your operations. Guest communications, if somebody asks you a question, remember, you have one location. Right. So when the person checks in, if you've already set everything up on your operations perfect, codes are set, they have clear directions,
well,
they walk in, they don't care.
Talk about that. What are the things that should be set up?
For setting up a unit?
Your tech stack, yes.
Yeah, you guys are asking loaded questions. All right, so guest communications for sure. Here, I know, they're like, so get some water on me. Okay, so you got the channel manager or your property management software for guest communications, your pricing software, your cleaners calendar software, which can all be done with one central location. But when you're setting up one unit, that's pretty much it. 2 things: your management software for your calendar and your pricing software for your pricing. Yeah, that's it.
So out of these,
At what point do you then decide to scale to more units? So let's say you do the 1, then when do you decide, oh, hey, I got this, and how many should you do?
Okay, so hold on. I want to address what Ignox said back here.
Yeah.
So Ignox said security system out in the crowd here. Security system is not a tech stack that you absolutely have to set up, but you do have to have it, which would be your Ring, your Vivint, your Google camera, whatever the case may be. So yes, thank you for yelling that out. You do have to have that, because you need to know who walks in the door for sure. So that's part of your tech stack, as well as your door lock automation. So your door lock automation that's part of your tech stack or your security system. So like Yale, Schlage, whatever you're using for people to walk in the door, that's also an extra application you have to use. Sorry, what was the question?
I'm trying to remember what it was.
Well, why do you remember? Yeah. Are you saying Is that 30 minutes a day? Is that an hour a day versus your budget for the new business?
30 minutes, yeah, max. Okay, look, a guest checks in, everything's automated. You got the code set up, everything's good to go. They walk in, the place looks beautiful. They're not gonna bother you. They're there on vacation. So they're gonna show up, they're gonna hang out. Now, they try to turn on the TV and the TV's not set up, you're gonna get a message.
Okay.
Now you have to respond to that message. But if they walk in, they turn the TV and TV looks great, why would they message you? Other than to compliment you on how beautiful the place looks, which is gonna make you smile. Right? So if they have a problem and they ask you a question, you can respond on your break, on your lunch, when you wake up, before you go on to bed, you can respond. Now, if it's an emergency, you need to have it set up and answer right away. But on average, you're looking at 30 minutes throughout the day, maybe even less with one unit, if you have everything perfectly set up.
All right, so let's talk about scalable.
Yeah.
So I did my one. I'm making 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 a month. I'm excited. I'm trying to do another 2, 3. I'm trying to build up my portfolio. At what point then does it become too much where I need to hire help? And how do you facilitate?
So going back to this question, it's going to depend on the time you want to put in versus the time you want to have free. I went to 18 units before I hired a virtual assistant.
18?
Yeah, 18.
All right, that's where everybody said, clarity. Come on.
Can you guys even hear all the talking? I was like, yeah. I think I heard you. So I went to 18 without hiring a virtual assistant. And the process for that was a pain in the ass. I should have started probably around 5 to 8 listings. I should have hired a first virtual assistant for guest communications, for door lock automation, and for like security camera footage. When I got to 18 and I hired my first VA, it was a nightmare because I didn't know how to train them.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what to delegate. I just was like, hey, here, answer this message. And they were like, well, I need help here.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're getting a bunch of messages throughout the day. And I was like, just watch me as I respond. So I will respond and they would work. But it was a big process. So if you start early, I would suggest the moment that you can afford to hire a virtual assistant part-time, hire them part-time. Because then they start building your processes, your systems, your automation, and they start doing all the work that you don't want to deal with, all the bullshit work like answering guests.
Oh, before you go there, so where should people go to find these virtual assistants?
They're everywhere. There's sourcing companies. Actually, my brother texted me one earlier today. Cool. So they text me. Okay, so there's sourcing companies. There's 2 types of companies. There's the ones that source it for you. They charge you a fee for just finding you the person. And then there's actual companies where you pay them because they train the person, but they're under their management. And then there's other companies like I have a sourcing company where we train them for short-term rentals. You pay my company, but they're 100% yours. But we've trained them for this business. But we don't manage them. We just make sure that they show up on time. We make sure that they're there to do their work and that there's no problems with that flight. Or you can put out Facebook posts. You can go on Fiverr. I mean, they're everywhere, Bill.
So let me ask you. So obviously you have to communicate with these individuals. And are there any systems that you suggest that is best for the communication?
Yes. So there's a lot of communication tools that you could use. The one that I use and the best one is Slack. I put my entire team on Slack together. I'm not putting like the CS before the screenshot on the video. Slack. Okay, Slack is one of them. You can do like Facebook, Workplace. You can do WhatsApp if you really don't even get that fancy. But the best one to scale is Slack.
Slack. Okay. All right.
So we got the BAs, but you talked about like training them and processes. What does that even mean?
Okay, lay that little down.
When you guys hire a VA, you have to train them. They have to be trained. They're not going to come in blind and know what they're doing. Building processes and systems is what you do to automate your business. The redundant work that just gets repetitive every day, there should be a process for it. What do you do when a guest gets locked out? How do you change your code? How often do you check the camera? How do you respond if a guest is having a party? There's always a process for that. You can write it, put it in writing in very clear instructions, so where you don't have to handle it anymore, and you can just give it to your virtual assistant. So what I do is I go on Loom, I record a video explaining everything. They take the video, they break it down in step-by-step instructions, they put it on a sheet, they save it on my Google Drive, and then we have a link to that sheet, to the Loom video together, where it shows what to do in that situation. So if we have a guest that snuck in a dog, all right, look up snuck in a dog. And then they go on my Google Drive, snuck in a dog, that sheet pops off them. If a guest snuck in a dog, we're going to message them. We're going to ask them why they brought a dog. We're going to charge them $20 per pet per night. How many dogs do they bring in? If they don't respond within an hour, we call Airbnb. If they respond within the hour, we just charge them. We send a money request. This is how you send a money request. Step by step, and then it's done.
So let me clarify. So you record the video, you send it to the VA. The VA not only looks at the video, now they type out a process, and then they upload it into your Google Drive, and so everybody has access as far as this is the way to do it. And yeah, the search it is you just go into your Google.
You don't want to get involved every time there's an issue. Like, if you're automating your business to scale it, you don't want to be called every time. Hey, Rafa, guest in Unit B snuck in a dog. Cool, charge them like the B. What you calling me for? We haven't said it. Like, you automate the process and you give people the freedom to be able to have the power or the leadership to make that decision on their own. Okay, well, how many dogs? 2. So what do you charge? $40. Approved. No, it's already done. So automated.
So basically what she's saying is this is something that's built up over time. So
we speak.
So as an issue come up, you resolve the issue, and then after resolving the issue, you shoot some type of Loon video,
Yeah.
to sit there and put in some type of, you say you put in some type of spreadsheet, you said?
Yeah. We have a Excel sheet with links to every video process over it.
Okay. Now, on that spreadsheet, is it organized in any certain way? Because, I mean,
No, it's very... Right. I was talking to someone last night trying to show them one of my processes, and I couldn't find it. So I thought about my dad, yo, where is this? Well, it's here. I was like, dude, can we just put all shit in one place? So this is the difference, though, right? Like, I've used so many different systems. I had Trello at one point. I had Monday.com at one point.
Yep.
The simplest thing to use is the simplest thing to use. Or the best thing to use is the simplest thing to use.
and what is that?
An Excel spreadsheet on Google Drive for everybody to touch. That's it.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So I guess after looking back, now you put together all these processes doing there, is there anything that you would do different?
Yeah, I would have hired, wait, you now?
Yes.
Yeah, be more organized.
And what does that actually mean?
Just have everything in one central location. So you gotta have, we're actually working on a process for Howard where you build processes from the beginning all the way to the end. So pre-setup, so furniture, shopping list, designer, the type of location to look for, that can all be processed. You put it in a spreadsheet. Then after unit setup, going live, creating your listing, connecting all the systems, teaching your virtual assistants, teaching everybody, sending the right video so your virtual assistants in the Philippines know how to deal with a problem. And then you have guest systems and processes. Before a guest checks in, all the processing things that happen. When a guest checks in, all the things and systems that happen. After a guest checks out, what happens? The inspection team, what happens? All of that has to be organized. And that's what we're working on now because we have everything just everywhere.
Click it.
All right, so got the VAs, you got the processes. I get a lot of operators who say, I'm nervous to give my bank information, to have them order items. So how do you start staggering responsibilities and trust, and when do you do it, and then at what point do you come at your level where you just kind of just say, hey, stop bothering, like, why you
So, can you guys still hear us? It's getting really loud. Yeah, cool. Okay, so you gotta build trust from day one. You don't give bank account information, but you give enough trust for them.
I will suggest that, right?
Yeah, you give enough trust for them to understand that, hey, I trust you to be in my business, and I'm slowly gonna give you more responsibility. So if I hire one fresh, they can trust to have access to my guest communications. Once they crush it and do really good, they get access to getting to my actual Airbnb account to send money requests. Once they get really good at that, they get access to a employee credit card with a limit of $200 on it. 200? Whatever. More generous. What else? All right, think about it. Yeah. If they want to steal $300 from you, let them steal $300 because odds are they lost a job that was needed to from anywhere. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Steal $100. You'll be fine. Your business is not shutting down. But you don't give them access to the routing number and the account number and the login to the bank account. You know what I'm saying? You give them access to certain things so that they know that they're part of the team. You're building something together. You're going to grow together. And with that comes responsibility. IDA has permission to order up to $400 without involving them. I don't care what it is, order it. Obviously, that doesn't go blindly. We check it to make sure that the things are getting ordered. Right? Once a week, we check it. Randomly, I check it. I have my operations person check it. I have my storage person make sure that things look delivered. But she doesn't have to get permission every single time something gets purchased. Now, if we're tied on budget or to slow month, hey, nothing's getting ordered without my permission. You understand? But they have, again, if she steals $400 from me, she's gone. She's going to lose a job that's paying her more than that every month.
Yeah.
And for what? $400? If you're in an emergency, let me know. I'll give you the $400.
Yeah, I understand. So you have, I don't know, 70 plus units, right? And where would you sit here and tell someone for the first time to say, hey, this is the first item you should delegate out to what we get?
Guest communications.
Guest communications. And what does guest communication cover?
Any guest that asks you a question about anything.
That's it, just everything.
Anything that's about a guest.
Yes.
So I'm gonna move into a different topic. So you're now doing hotel, like boutique hotel kind of. So how do you translate that operations and arm that you now have built into boutique hotels? So let's say I'm a short-term rental operator. I'm starting to get a success, but I'm scared of this, like scaling to something a little bit bigger. Let's say it's a 20 unit. How do I move that infrastructure into that boutique hotel sort of arena?
Yeah, the reason why I was able to do it so seamlessly is because I built systems and process for such a long time. That to me, it was like just a very similar project. Now, depending on the type of hotel that you're going to find. If you're buying a 70-unit hotel, you're not going to run the same system as a short-term rental. But if you're buying a small 15, 20-unit hotel, you can. Because you can automate the entire process. You don't need to have it depends on how you're going to manage it. You don't need to have a staff office up front when all the doors are on the building where people can walk straight to the door and you can send a text message with the code with instructions on how to get into the door. You don't need to have somebody there. And if it's a 70-unit hotel or a 50-unit hotel where you need to have staff on site, then you need to treat that differently. But it's very easy and seamlessly when you have systems and processes in place to deal with certain situations. We still deal with all guest communication virtually, right? We just transition them out to the hotel. I'm taking over apartment complexes that are 20 units that I run as fully automated self-check-in short-term rental. Just the same concept with an 1800 boutique hotel. We want it to be ran as a self-check-in boutique hotel. So all we do is transition it to that model without having someone on site. The only difference is that now we have a full-time cleaner on site. So instead of me paying per job, I'm paying hourly, and they double it as my boots-on-the-ground person. If a guest gets lost, I call my cleaner, she finds him, she walks into the door. That's the only difference. But everything else is pretty similar. Say guest communications. Depending on the platforms that you're going to get on, like Expedia, it's a completely different animal than it is on Airbnb. Booking.com, completely different animal than Airbnb. Hotels.com, completely different than Airbnb. So the guest communication is different. We've just added more systems and processes to deal with it. Now, 5 hours before check-in time, we send a text message automated that says, hey, we look forward to hosting you in our beautiful little hotel. Just a reminder, all check-in instructions plus your code or the email. Make sure to check your spam if you didn't see it. Done and done. Now, if they message us and text us back to that number, it goes to our PMS, our virtual assistant sees it. They go, oh, hey, I didn't get the email. It's not in my spam. We get a text. Hey, no problem. We're sending it now. And then just resend it again. And that's it. Done and done.
So what you're saying is you have all your processes in place, you have the systems in place, APAs already well informed as far as like how to handle the situation. If something goes wrong, they're in communication with the local staff and you're already guilty for the rent.
So, for example, when I took over the hotel in Michigan, I was there for 2 weeks building the processes for my assistant in the Philippines. It'd be done for me to show up and go, hey, go ahead and start managing this now. without them knowing where the door is, where's the garage, where's the parking, how do they get in, how does it even look. So I go there, I record videos of everything. This is the thermometer with CVAC. When you walk in, it's right here. Everything. Clear, they're here. They drive through there. And then they take that video on my phone that I sent them. They put a process in place. And now they know that when a guest has a question, they look at the question and it's in the process. And then they answer it without me getting involved.
So what are the, let's just say, the top 3 differences between setting up, just a one, I guess, bedroom apartment versus a 12-unit boutique hotel? Airbnb.
Times 12.
Not so.
So it's 12 times more work. That's the biggest one. Number 2, in terms of short-term rental boutique hotel, pricing is the second one. They don't price the same. Boutique hotels price very different than your short-term rentals do. And then the channels that you're going to be on are very different than just being on Airbnb. You're looking at 40 other platforms, and that requires a bigger software or a bigger system that can integrate everything together, and your cost goes up as well.
What are some of these other softwares that allow you to
Just the bigger channel manager.
That's the biggest shit.
Yeah, the more expensive one. Right now we're using Guesty Pro now. It's more expensive, but it connects everything seamlessly to what I need. Super simple, to the point.
Oh, so I just want to revisit it. So I want to meet Rafa one day where I go up. So what you're saying is build your processes. Whenever you have a unit that you're going to try to set up, really use Bowen Burton instead of all the videos. You have your infrastructure, set up all the processes based on your videos. And then on the back end, what are you doing? How much time are you spending when some of these kind of like being set up or set up?
Hours. If I spent 2 weeks at the hotel and we were working hours per day, I have to record a video of everything. And as long as that takes. There's no typical time job. So I might work 16 hours in one day. But then once everything's automated, set up, and I've reviewed it and it looks good and it's saved in a process, then I don't do anything anymore. Now I just oversee the bigger picture, so I oversee the entire operation. There's a mistake here, you messed up here, this is how we fix it. And then slowly it starts becoming a smooth running machine. Hey, you messed this up, this is how we're going to fix it, go forward to this. And then now they're slowly just learning themselves, and now they start responding things the right way. That make sense? It takes hours. You're looking at, I was working, 8 to 12 hours, running around, recording stuff, automating, typing stuff up, connecting to the manager, studying and researching the pricing, and all of that takes hours.
Now, are there any differences with communicating with your cleaners versus like using a boutique hotel versus short-term rentals?
No, not for me at least. I was the same thing, except now this lady's full-time, so the process was the same. I connected her to my calendar. I taught her how to generate tasks. I taught her how to check off things and notify us if it's clean. Send us 1 or 2 photos. Same process, really, for me. It was nothing special. At this, guys, keep it simple. There's no need to overcomplicate. Oh, it's a hotel. I need a million different. Why? All I need to know is that it's been cleaned. Send me a couple photos to prove that it's been cleaned so that I know it's ready for the guests to check in. Move on with our lives.
Now, when you say send me a couple photos, is this Drew's?
Black.
Okay, everything's Drew's flag.
What does find your freedom mean to you?
There we go.
Boom. You guys already asked me this. No, that's it. It's finding my freedom, meaning store what I want, when I want, with who I want, wherever I want. It's what, Thursday drinking beer? Right? Like talking business? Like we could have done this that's it. I just want to do what I want, when I want, who I want, wherever I want. Nothing else matters to me. I want to experience share the way I want to experience it. We only have a short amount of life that we're living.
Here we go.
I just want to squeeze as much out of it as I can with the people I care about.
Love it.
Wait, that's fine. You got to drink to that.
Here we go.
All right, everybody cheers. Everybody cheers. All right.
It looks like water here.
Are we going to do a boom?
All right. So what we like to do, anybody watch or listen to any of our podcasts, at the end of our show, we do this big bullet. So with this one, we want everybody to participate, all right? So if you can, make sure you get everybody in here, all right? So on the count of 3, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to say boom as loud as we can. Now, I'm going to tell you, they are loud outside. Very. So we have to be so loud that everybody out there turn around and look at us. Y'all with me? Y'all with me?
And we should pull the curtains open.
Yeah, wait, no, yeah, see it.
We want to get
All right.
Oh, yeah.
On 3. What are we saying? Boom.
We're going to say boom on 3.
Yeah, loud as you can. And hold it. Boom. Got it? Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Do we need to do a test run or are we good? We good? I can't hear. We good? Are we good? All right. You ready? All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. It worked.
Well, thanks so much, everybody. Thank you. And thank you for the
Break the tank.
Thanks for listening to Find Your Freedom. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're at it, please help us spread the word by leaving a rating and review and sharing the podcast with friends, family, and colleagues. Until next time, get out there and find your freedom.